I don't.
The hesitation feels like, yeah, okay. Like, you didn't have to say it, but the fact that
I can't show my colors of just blindly saying G. I could just rip the G2 just before you even finish the question. I could just rip the G2 and people will be thinking, oh, he's back again. Here he is.
Back again.
G2's in better form, and here he is.
You've always got it on.
No.
Underneath the shirt, like a less exciting Spider-Man. But here we are, and I mean the pressure's on, I guess, in some manners for G2, but usually these games they're quite even-handed on, especially when they've had time to build into a season. And now with Secret, obviously one of the teams that they're chasing at the top 2 to try and reclaim their spot, the team that obviously took them to the brink in some manners, they need almost the same sort of strength of a response versus Gen.G today.
Yeah, just to kind of play up this game in terms of a head-to-head, in terms of how these teams have went against each other in the past. Gen.G have never beaten G2. They played 4 times last year, and they didn't beat them a single time. They didn't even get a map off them. Even in the best of freeze, G2 beat them 2-0-2-0.
Okay, I'll follow you because you've got your data up, and I like to give you leading questions. Did they play on labs?
Did they play on labs? They did.
Oh, well, how'd it go?
7-1 to G2.
Okay, there we go. There's the information out, everybody. So, Gen.G, pressure's on. Oh, wait, maybe there's some positives. How many attacks did Gen.G get?
I don't have that information on hand.
Well, we'll find that out at some point, and we'll see if they can start with 1 as we get ourselves in. Kaid and Clash gone.
1 attack.
Okay, 1 attack. Well, let's see if they can do better than that. They've kind of got to. The quick break on towards IT. Now, Laurier is going to be playing the sort of top rafters area, getting themselves the keeper barricades for support and just holding on for as long as possible. They do have the chance to slink away, but Laurier isn't always that kind of player. If they're feeling confident, which they have been quite a lot recently, they might try and stick it out. Doki, he's getting himself a bit of a keen watch, and you can see a Buck making their way underneath of Azox. They're going to go for a bit of a pinch here, I believe.
Yeah, I think right now the opening for Gen.G was starting to formulate a pretty good idea, but that has just went to smithereens, as I've mentioned that, of course. Blackbeard's went up by himself, died. Deadshot lost his engagement. Doki is still alive, by the way. He took on both of them. It was actually a 180, I think, between transitioning between the Blackbeard and also the IQ. So Doki has played out of his skin there to get those picks.
Wow, what a way for it to start here. Doki, as we saw, he sort of had the read in his own position. Laurier stuck around, but there was an attempt at a quick break through the Buck from underneath and the pressure up the stairs itself. But now, without that Blackbeard, what can they try and build on? They've got to try and drive themselves here on towards the site. Nasa does find Alamau. Cuts the body across, puts us into a 3 versus 2 versus 2.
Oh.
As the swing with the shotgun is well read, but look at the pressure here coming from Fish. He's about to suffer a swing round. Wasn't aware of Azox's change of position now. The kit is cold on the far side, but Blaz in a none versus 2. Great first round there, and well, they've equaled their last performance demo. Only wears up.
It is the first round. Secure, G2. A little bit strange. Doki, 2 kills, eliminated the Blackbeard, the main driving force in that push, gone. 2 players just died. It seemed to be pretty carelessly as well. I mean, I wouldn't say Gen.G were in a fantastic position. Don't really know what happened. I don't know how those 2 players of G2 died. Had to have been, I mean, knowing the face of that man, he's done something. I know he has. Don't know what it is, but I'll get to the bottom of it.
Something has occurred. Someone has fallen into the river in Lego City.
Have you referenced that of all things?
I don't know. Listen.
Oh.
Love Lego. What can I say? And other building block-based toys are available. 1-0 up. Stop the clock. Stop the count. Gen.G, they have themselves that 1 attack round they were able to muster last time, and they got it pretty snappy. I think G2 were maybe taken a little bit by surprise on just how quick and aggressive Gen.G were, wanting to move into the punch, maybe expected a bit of a slow broil to fight around the keeper barricades, fight around rafters itself, and not be so confident to just charge their way up. But hey, this is the Gen.G you're dealing with. How long? Now is the question of, will it take G2 to step up to meet them? Stompin, standing at attention, wants to try and hot foot himself into some hotter trouble. But as vending starts to get cracked open, it seems like your pretty standard approach here. Get the catch around vending so nobody can rotate down these stairs and start trying to shepherd anybody loose from the top floors back to an awaiting death.
Look at Doki, which will be a good operator to have on this room clearer, as we know, on a pretty big map. That is, of course, labs, and yeah, Doki's going to be great giving you that instant information instead of spending quite an amount of time trying to drone out the whole place. Doki call goes in, and the Blackbeard charges on through and takes up that ground that he knows is clear. Roamers in towards the top floor. I mean, there's a few in towards the mid floor, but I really think it's the player upstairs is going to be the danger man for G2. Loira up by himself. Nobody from Gen.G is really interested in taking that top floor. They're just pushing across, coming in horizontally from kitchen side. But half the round gone. Still no engagements as of yet.
It's sort of rough here at this point for Gen.G. They've been slowed down. They wanted to move in with some pace early on. And the Blackbeard is going to try and be that driving force as Azox knocks on the door and gets some attention and some focus. But G2 drifted their way back on home. And, well, not all of them. As I said, Loira, sometimes he's feeling the fire and he's found himself up to the rafters. No, he's found himself down to the garage. No, he's about to find himself a fight in cargo. Does he know about the player watching the window? Do they know that the player is trying to come back? No. Is the answer. The raucous move as the Doki is just sort of allowing the players inside the site to move on. Now it might be a bit of a missed watch here for this vertical control. More calls come out, but there's nobody that's being shut down here, Demo. Are they just going to try and make it happen?
Yeah, just go direct in the site and try and go for the plant, but I don't know if they've opened up the main breach or not, and if they haven't done that, but thankfully, because G2 have actually played it soft, it allows them to play close on the wall, and there you go, Asta punishes Doki because of that, a blunder from G2.
Oh, things have started to slip here for G2 now. That will be a sort of call to arms in action, but as they drift their way across, look, the Blackbeard starts to suffer as Alamau finds themselves on the other side of the fight, but the Blackbeard wins out, and now they scream their way in. They are falling everywhere. There is not a lot of time, but, well, there's not a lot of places to go. Swinging around on the spot, Loira does get 1.5. But in a post-plant situation, oh, filthy take onto at least another. Now they know someone's down, but this is a very tricky retake. They have the verticality. There's also a player about to shoot him from his left that he's aware of a little bit, just with the safety of the soft. No, both of them have gone for the vertical, waiting patiently. Gen.G, 2 rounds.
Well, Gen.G, see their game plan. Didn't really want to go for the engagements if they could. They wanted to have that 5v5 execute, which is weird, you know, in this day and age in Siege where people want to get kills and they want to leave themselves with as many, you know, possibilities to get these kills. It's just not happening for them.
They can go like for aqua push now using like shields, or if they do the same, like we are good to have the traps for that side. Just like important, like late rounds, like if you lost garage, let's play 2-2, okay? Like Cow Aqua, one to support him like on Souls on Dark, and the other 2 for the other side of the map, okay guys? Let's not play like we play like last round, 3 guys for the right side, and then guys after, like I think we can ban the Maverick and we can go below again with the Doki playing Bandit, and then we go storage, and then we go back to top floor with the Bandit as well, okay guys? Let's go guys, you got this.
I can't C4 Aqua if I'm playing the traps, okay? Someone else needs to take the C4 if Carl's roaming below.
Yeah, I can.
Early call to arms and actions, and yeah, they kind of needed it because Gen.G were building momentum and G2 were just, as I said before, the first round was a sort of fool me once, right? They came in super confidently, they took control of the space, they had their rotates, and they were sharp, which I don't think G2 expected. Then it happens again, 40 seconds left, every single player still standing, and Gen.G just go, we could just take the site, let's just do it. And G2 were once again caught sort of on the back burner.
Oh dear. Not a good start for G2. Gen.G kind of went into that attack thinking they're going to want to play aggressive. They're going to want to try and get these kills. Let's just not give them anything. And that's kind of what they did. They played very minimalistic siege. They only took what they wanted, and then they just execute it using the shields. You know, they didn't want to push into the roamers. They didn't want to engage them. Is that the game plan that they came up with to go against G2, who are an aggressive side? We know that. Just ignore them. Is that the idea?
Well, let's see if they can try and ignore a consistent problem. They've gone back to the top floor, a little bit of a change. They're not going to play around the keeper barricades, the sort of backline hold, the expectation. Instead, they're setting themselves up for unimaginable fights. They've got the chance at the catch on the Goo Mines. They've obviously got the Ella to swing in. She's found herself in the right hands. A sort of resurgence here, and well, there's at least some of the removal of any of the step-in. But they've not been able to get themselves a handle on the approach, as you've seen and spotted so rightly before. And, well, not going to entirely throw themselves at, but here it's a more cautious G2. It's a entirely backloaded defensive G2.
Yeah. No bandit though, which they could have, you know, brought in to try and falter the hard breachers. And Gen.G are a team which, I don't know why, they always were like a Thermite team. Like, they're one of the very few who would have a Thermite player in the form of Asajiro. So it's weird to say, oh, you know, bring the bandit in, because that, of course, would counter that Thermite pretty well. But instead, G2 not opting for that, apart from just the mute jammer as their wall denial. C4 goes out, but that's going to be shot out of midair by Skies, and that wall, of course, will be opened up. This is a really good start from Gen.G. Good structure, doing the basics well, and I've said before, all labs, if you do the basics well, you'll go far.
Well, let's see how much further they can get, because G2 are not handing them an engagement yet. They are being very cautious, and you said they want and expect fights, but it seems like they also want and expect to have them a little bit later on. The first blow is truly dealt on towards their side, and it's not followed up. There was almost a bit of team damage that came on the back of it. The blinds, and they're ready to rock and roll with the shotgun, but he has to watch two different angles, and they have just screamed back and forth. Stompin finds one, Skies and trades either side. What are you looking for here? Stompin, apart from the ghosts of some of your dead teammates, but there's even more of theirs. There goes Deadshot on Fish. And that G2 wall has held firm this time round. You can see a bit of attempted damage done. They know that there's a shotgun on that swing position to the left, but, well, look at this. 3 bodies ready for a contact fight. As soon as the first hits, it is going to be a firing line. And, well, there it is.
Oh, Gen.G, not having any nades. No way to remove that warden. Just, it was allowed to dance in the site. Wasn't going to be bothered because he's a warden and Ying isn't going to do anything to him. Yeah, just missing out on some pretty basic stuff. You know, just a simple nade would have probably been enough there to get that warden out of there. So, just a slight little blunder from Gen.G in their lineup choices. I mean, you've also got like a Grim available. Kapatau's up as well. You know, those are strong operators for clearing out players in tricky positions.
I think it's always the thing is there's a lot of options, and you can see that they were doing the fundamentals right, but at that point it seemed like they dedicated themselves towards a cause. They thought that they could try and charge in, strong arm the pillar position, which
charge the shotgun. Love it.
It's a sort of World War I early tactic. It almost worked. They got 1 kill from it, but then you suddenly
send in the cavalry.
realize that horses don't do too well against tanks and entrenched positions. Anyway,
yep.
I hope Medics enjoys these references.
Yeah,
Medics
get a copy of Warhorse up. Start reading out some chapters out of that. That could be a nice one.
Does everybody want that?
Should slide into the World War I type of
Sure.
things.
I'm sure the
audiobooks are available.
I'm sure the massive Jinxie and Stompin fan base wants readings of Warhorse. That's why
Jinxie's thinking, what's a Warhorse?
It's got 4 long legs and it charges into battle. 2-1. Gen.G, they have been shaken a little, but can they stir themselves back into a stronger performance here? G2 have something to hold on to, and a Fuse is about to play a game with a Bandit called Who's a Coward? Ooh, Bandit tricked one side, but the breach comes through, so weren't caught by the Fuse charge, but Stompin now has the watch from above, a position that will need to be cleared. Otherwise, you might find yourself suddenly overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think Doki's happy to get the Fuse charge that could have killed him, rather than, of course, the Thermite charge, but still, I think the wall was going to be opened up either which way you look at it. There, it was good from Gen.G. Again, the basics, opening the walls. Yeah, doing that extremely well. So, last time we seen Gen.G just try and sidestep all of these roamers and just didn't want to play a part in taking down this roam game from G2. You can see G2, they position themselves in a more of an aggressive nature. They are looking to take the fights. If you're not going to come to us, we'll come to you. That's now the game plan for G2. But, obviously, you know, proof is in the pudding. Whenever you have that first bite, is it going to pay off if they can get these kills?
Well, they're loose and on the hunt a little, a minute 30, and they're playing a dangerous position. They do obviously have Lawyer on the second story waiting for any opportunity to swing and offer some cover if need be, but it's a vending attempt once again. They're looking towards that backside, and, well, that one's not going to be tricked out, but this might be that tricky moment. Oh, what a moment! Oh. That was so close to being tilled through, and I think both of them were surprised, but it leaves them 3-2 even. They had the cover on the rotate up, the Ram gets it through, but that was Siege.
You're speechless. That kind of sums it up in terms of how you're feeling about that, and certainly I think Gen.G are a little bit speechless as well, and just how quickly their attack has crumbled. You know, that's what I mean. You knew G2, they weren't just going to sit back this time. They were going to take the fight to Gen.G. They weren't going to allow them to set up and just flood into the site in that 5v5. Much better from G2, using the gunners that they have in their team to inflict a heavy amount of damage on this attacking lineup. And now it should be, I'll put an asterisk beside that, an easy 1v2 now for Doki and Blaz.
Yep, they just have to do pretty much the lessons that they showed that they'd learned on the previous one. Find out where the player is and then play on the contact towards the back of it. And, well, there's the first spray. The second comes as soon as they get close to the door. G2, they have used their time up. They've used it well. Stopped the momentum of Gen.G and then done that within the server itself. 2 rounds on the trot ties us back up. Now we fall to that tertiary site, though, where Gen.G have an opportunity to kind of shock and awe because, well, we've seen them win and lose on both of those 2 sites, but so far, for their first attempts, they have been 100% successful. Will this be the same?
We'll see. We'll see. But at the moment for G2, I think they're getting a bit of momentum now. You know, they're finding their mojo. Hopefully it was just good teamwork, you know, good comms, I would imagine, through that G2 line. The way that they were able to communicate, you know, saying, okay, I'm going to push up here, go for the retake onto the stairs. That's what Alaman was doing. You know, a lot of things happened all at the right timing for G2. So, yeah, it's good to see them back in the game again. Gen.G just being adapted to, more or less. That's kind of the moral of the story here for Gen.G. It's both of their attacks have just been countered from G2. G2 have learned from their past mistakes.
At what point do Gen.G think that they might need to sort of stop? What do you think their success ratio was? And are they already close to meeting it if they can get themselves this third attack? They have once again.
I think they need another round.
One more round, and I think this is their chance to get it. Because not only would it be obviously setting themselves up for 3, it breaks that G2 momentum again. The sooner they can stop G2 building that energy, especially before the turn of the half. Well, here's the start. Straight in, straight out. Stompin just had the full read. Served them up for dinner within the kitchen. And, well, actually still hungry for thirds, it seems like. So starts going on a bit of an explore for any other potential pings coming out from vending side. But they know somebody wants to hit that front desk too. And you can barely stop the boy for itching for a fight.
Nice, though. Able to move in and take out Loira, but will come in contact.
Oh.
With Stompin and Doki still inside the kitchen. And Gen.G have done well to still, you know, equal up in a 2v2 as Something's been found, but Doki now knows exactly where that player is inside of the freezer. And Deadshot eats the C4 for dinner. Hey, the Doki outside the window yet to help his teammates, trying to provide some flashbangs to cover him, but still, he's stuck in there and they know exactly where he is. Doki just has to try and hold him.
I mean, he's dodging, ducking, and diving and weaving, and it's a bit of damage done towards him, but as they slip in, you look at the health of the two remaining players. And, well, what else does G2 really have other than a gunfight? It's going to surround him in a second. They have time, but they just need to pinch this. Blaz is that one saving grace. Now, they could go for a plant, which was toyed with and then pulled off. There's no rotate round the back. They're going to hold and hope that the cover will be good enough, and they go for the 1 versus 1 instead, and it's actually the right play. They slip on through, but no. Pulls off the plant. The damage of the barbed wire gives the position away, and that leaves a 1 versus 1. Doki versus Nako, who was able to pick up the kill in the meantime. Is this a bait? Is this a ruse? It is. And now with a little bit extra and nothing else to really work with apart from the rare Pocket Bandit battery, but it wasn't used. No, demo. Just a gun and a hell of a last stand by Doki on a 5-foot square corner.
Oh, we needed to win that big time. That is a massive round just in the momentum factor of this game. Doki were just sat in the one position more or less the whole round. You know, he had just, it's almost as though he kind of like spray painted a square and said, Doki, you cannot leave that square. You know, and he done that. He did not move his feet really throughout the entirety of that round.
This is my square. I will not abandon my square.
He's been put in the box.
Get him in the box. Shook him up.
Well, they needed that. They really needed that. Yeah, I mean, Gen.G went for an attempted rush, just gone, right? Did not work at all. The fact that they've been able to pull it into a 1v1.
Thank you, Observer.
Crazy stuff. Thank you, Observer.
Yeah, that was some words, choice words there. But
10 seconds left.
This is actually a thing about Doki. He's for a long time sort of said that G2, and this was over a different roster, different iteration. Around the time that they won their hammer, I think it was the quote, they are the best mental team at shaking other teams' mental. Because where they don't really care, they can make other people care a lot. So you're always going to have an all chat from G2.
Yeah, that definitely had to be from the hammer run, because then Fury appeared and all of a sudden Alamo just in the bin.
Yeah.
Herds is there. Yeah, Carl's null and void at that stage.
Yeah, well, Doki, to be fair, 7-2. He is very much
doing good,
enjoying his time.
Good to see. He struggled a little bit, I think, this past year. You know, I think from where he was at SI 23, and obviously that year I thought he had a stellar year. The improvements he made was incredible, and then I think last year just dropped off just a tad. But then again, I think he's playing operators he should not be playing. You know, again, it's that syndrome of, I'm seeing him playing Ace, for example. Get him off Ace, what's he doing? That's not his operator, you know? And certainly, you know, we've kind of seen Stompin kind of play that kind of Ace operator, that kind of flex position, kind of flex support. You know, I think that's much better structure for them rather than having the players who should be just on your entry operators. You know, that's the way Doki is. He's an entry. He'll try and tell you otherwise he can play everything. Sure, he can maybe play everything, but how about we play him on what he's best on?
Well, what he's best so far on is apparently all chat and holding a 5-foot corner inside a kitchen. Here, though, 3-2. G2 could get themselves what is kind of a standard and expected half. The 42 on their defense says the rush starts to come in the same way they won the first round. They get the connection there, and there was a moment where you could see Laurie was scared of more of them popping in, as it was last time, but Asta was really that only other modicum of support here. Sprays up through the bowers, through the soft that isn't otherwise being put, otherwise then to cause pressure. That C4 is easily removed.
A landmine.
Yeah,
step on it.
I kind of expect that should be able to get the punch here on towards the mirror window. And now pressure will start to come in from IT, but this was the thing I liked last time, was once they had this, they then rotated their way around to fish and blue and then hit the pressure on from that side.
100%. That should be the rule of thought now for Gen.G, is start targeting the fish side. Once you've taken control of Raptors, it doesn't allow these players in fish just to safely rotate back into sight, because then they're going to be cut off. So, yeah, this is looking good for Gen.G. They still have that Blackbeard who can simply walk at these players over towards Fish if he chooses fit to do so. But at the moment, I'm actually rotating back to Rafters. There's actually a player on Fish stairs waiting for that buck, and it's going to be a shotgun close. And oh, was that the Sophia's stun? Did it actually pull up the shield in his team? I think it did. Azox wins that one against Alamau. Oh, Blackbeard gets annihilated by the shotgun, but still, Gen.G, never mind, it's the 1v1. Doki been able to pull back one with the C4. Doki, again, can he hold his metal? Gets full blinded. Azox pushing in close to the Skelky, but Doki with the pistol. This man, the composure in Doki today is world class, ladies and gentlemen.
Fired up, ready to roll, ready to go. Hit with the flash, wants to swing into it, put the pressure back onto them. The C4 timing, it was as close to the wire as it could have been, but G2 on the sort of good graces of Doki on those last 2 rounds, winning those 2 1 versus 1s. I mean, he wants to try and reassert himself. What a way to do it. 4-2, G2, they pull themselves back in, but at this point, Gen.G, they get this sort of moment to reset. The pressure's still on towards G2. They built some momentum. They still have the timeout. At this point, though, you know, going down 1-0, 2-0, it's not horrible. Puts you in a bad place. If we see the same here, it's, you know, 5-2, 6-2. Gen.G do not have the good graces that G2 had at the sort of start of the round of things going wrong. They might need to take that time out sooner rather than later. And G2, as you can see, have a lot of the fire right now.
Every time I see him clutch, like, and you know the way he does that fist? I always think he's going to put it straight through. Every time he gets a clutch, just watch him. He always does that little fist pump to himself.
Yeah.
I always think that's being loaded up just for a right hook right through the monitor.
That's if he loses. That's when that's when Prod cuts away. No, he says it. There's the great content that Ace did where he went out to Scotland and interviewed them, where he talks about the monitors that he's broken. Which
10 seconds left before insertion.
yeah, that's maybe why they sent Ace, the calming presence that Tim is. So it's the father figure.
You always send the HR guy, don't you?
Always send the HR guy. Well, if you know, Milos is the grandfather figure, Tim's the father figure of Siege, I think.
Even though Tim's older.
Yeah, but you know. I think I'm
because Milos speaks like a 70-year-old. Yeah, I get it.
Talks about the old pal.
He does. There was one time in year 1, season 2. Yeah,
you're the moody teenager. And I am the wine aunt. 4-2. G2. They have themselves now the pressure that they can try and apply here. The clash of Mako is going to be the chance at the swing on towards jungle as they are more than ready to peel themselves back. But with that pocket reinforcement, do they think they should lock fully here? GT's making sure the pressure is applied evenly elsewhere and draw the focus in. IT breach being put together, pressure on towards Fish, opening the door and getting themselves ready for anything, really. It leaves Gen.G guessing, and guesswork might lead to a bit of busy work. There it is! Loira baits onto the first fight. Skies is gone, and with a clash, I think they're trying to operate and get him out entirely stuck. And what are you going to do here? There's no way through. You need either a shotgun to open up the soft wall. Azox finds Loira, though, and that's the retake on towards the connector side. So his right shoulder is now his.
No way.
He takes that moment to escape, and that was almost certain death, but technically Gen.G have come off for the better for it. Blaz gone, Loira gone, and a clash gone in a different manner with the wind for now, but what a moment that could have been.
Yeah, they needed to get Loira with an air jab onto the clash, and Loira's just getting pressed from every which way. You know, he was fighting his own battles over towards electrical. They have no way of dealing with this clash. All they have is an impact EMP to try and disable the shield, and that is it. You cannot remove the shield at this stage for G2, which is a massive issue. It's not so much the gadget of slowing yourself down, it's the fact that you're going up against, you know, essentially a big massive mirror window in front of you. You know, that's the issue. So yeah, G2, they just have to try and play off kills now, but it's going to be really difficult. Really, really tough for them.
Oh, they knew. I was like, do they know? And Azox took a risk. Yeah, they knew. But with those bubbles giving the full reads, guys can't use them, but he sure as hell can tell them what they're doing here. There's 3 players to try and make a plant with not really a lot. Bees to make some noise and, well, just the guns for cover. So it's a dive onto Pillar, a focus onto the Maestro cam with the impact DMP, which is great, and Deadshot hitting the ground. Okay, the Clash is setting themselves up to try and offer some protection, but it's well watched from the swing either side, but a post-plant situation. Deadshot down and a Clash now could get the last player up deployed. Will G2 lean in? They will. It's the right decision. Make sure they cannot get Deadshot off the ground. Make sure the Clash is consistently on the beat, on the back foot, on either side of a close one fight. Doki, the fist gets closer to that screen, but it hasn't hit it yet.
Just, why is the Clash in that position? Why is she over trying to guard Fish? That Clash should just be stuck on Pillar. They can't remove her. You look at where those G2 players came from. All from one way, all one direction, one dimensional. And the Clash is just in Narnia, in the wrong place. You know, you'll see in a minute in the highlights. But that's what I mean. Loira's just fighting demons here. That Clash should have been dead to rights ages ago. Somehow got out of it. At this stage, that Clash should be sat on Pillar. As soon as that player died close to the wall, somebody needs to retake that position. You put the Clash shield in the corner, nobody can touch him. Nobody can touch him, and he is such an issue then for G2. But he's just so far out of position, and G2 just stroll in and kill the rest of his team. I don't know, but Gen.G at the moment, I really don't.
Doki
5 seconds left before.
has
that guy's on
refused to die.
13 and 2. We thought June played well.
I mean, what a magnificent performance so far from where the team started as well. As I said, it felt like Gen.G was catching G2 unaware. And, you know, you look across the rest of the team, Stompin's even, nobody else has been able to break into that situation. We've seen 2 1 versus 1 or 1 versus X clutches even from the side of Doki. We see him doing everything he can to keep G2 alive and fighting, and that is a fired performance now as Loira might get seen by an Echo drone. That will be, I think, really the main saving grace. Now, the Echo isn't a million miles away. Is he just going to keep flicking on back between the cams? They have the ping, but they don't know. There it is. Ooh, the timing of being watched. They don't know that they know. And that is a pickup there for Asa.
However, Blaz has went with him. He was able to actually jump in just through the main breach. And now they're in. They've got site control. Loira had made that ground, dragged the Echo out of position. Blaz assisting his teammate, eliminates that Echo. Now Gen.G are in one heck of a position where they don't want to be.
At this point, Blaz is trying to get it stuck in right by the side of it, and without the Echo to stop it, and Stompin taking over the vertical. It is a post-plant situation. Wow. Too little, too late, and I said it before. These risks, these moments, and this momentum has turned into a terrifying, but Gen.G, they are bouting their way through, and they get a blow, but it's traded down as a drop. And Stompin still has the full watch and cover. They are on the plant, baiting it, but with the breach, with the audio, and with the ram boogieing its way across the boards. The 5-2 becomes a 6-2, becomes a long, long road here. Even with it, I assume a timeout for Gen.G to pull this one back round.
Attentif, et il faut jouer avec un peu plus d'opérateurs de contrôle. On n'a aucun opérateur de contrôle, on en a parlé avant le début de la game, donc tout de suite on commence à rejouer les OP de contrôle. On met un peu plus aussi de contrôle sur notre communication, typiquement pour le round précédent, ok? Donc c'est très bien, on a la bonne com, on a la bonne dynamique, mais un tout petit peu plus de contrôle et qui plus est un peu plus de visu aussi sur ce qu'ils font. Et le Gen.G, vous me l'envoyez, hein. Vraiment à un moment ou l'autre, va falloir commencer à envoyer un peu plus aussi. C'est bien clair? Ouais. Allez, let's go, je vous laisse finir là-dessus.
Faut être plus incisif sur la com, les gars, s'il vous plaît. C'est le point maître. Hein.
De prendre déjà des pièges, comme ça on se fait pas dire partout là. Et on peut jouer plus de zones au début.
Tapez à l'entrée, hein. Tapez à l'entrée.
On est archi calme, mais soyez clairs. Genre, je savais même pas que ça c'était BP.
So, your French isn't very good, but you could do a great impression of Leo, can't you?
I don't even know what to try, Leo. I can do Tim. That's all I've got in the locker. It's
all right. We'll set up the bit either way. Let's hear your impression of Leo telling us what they said.
All right, maybe I've got better French than he does, so I will just explain. So basically, two things, right? They need to be more decisive in the communication. So right now, they're not making it clear when pressure is being put on them, when people are going aggressive. They could just say, I wasn't aware some guy was coming up. You guys need to be more vocal, and especially be more vocal in terms of pressure. When something is urgent, make it urgent in the comms. You need to be clear in the comms. And then the second thing, and that comes from Agdar, play the crowd control operators. Where are the crowd control operators? In defense, you know, and go play. And you need to go and play the traps, you know. And that's something that's not happening. They can't control the aggression on the side of G2, so that's what they need to bring. Crowd control operators, more decisive in the comms, and crowd control operators. That is the two elements of this tech timeout.
Wow, that was such a good impression you just did, Demo.
Did you like the kind of look-alike as well that I've been able to do? Good calls quite often.
I'm glad you dressed up exactly the same as as he did. I said on that bit to both of you. Both of you shut me down.
But no, fun's not allowed here. You know this.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I mean, that last round for Gen.G, the way I would describe it is probably the way I would describe some people I know in real life, and it is the lights are on, but there's nobody home. That was kind of the way Gen.G played it. Just, they don't have a clue what's happening right now. Yes, they're there, but they're not at the same time. And that's obviously what Leo has said, they've kind of talked about, is they're just not communicating. Nobody has any idea what's going on.
Breach comes through, pressure not that far behind. Doki hops in on the top of the rafters, and so does everyone else. They're swinging a shield as Blaz gets the first. The blind's around the corner. Blaz gets two. There's Doki, and a C4 gets Loira. Doki finally dead, but the news won't read that. I think what it'll read here is Skies with everything left to do. G2! Your timeout was just a slow of an eventual promised death. I said G2 needed to give a similar performance of strength as Secret delivered earlier to sort of make a statement of fact. We are at that top just as much as you are. Back off Doki, you couldn't have asked for any more, Demo.